Welcome to the second part of my mission editor and gameplay tutorial for ArmA 3. Let's continue with creating the block by block mission. Alright, here we have the starting point, and I'm putting out a vehicle. It's a Marshal, and so this is how you create a respawn point for the vehicle in the editing through the modules, and that's also accessible via the F7 key. You can pick starting position and preserve or delete if it gets destroyed. I use preserve for realism. Notification, that is useful sometimes, but I preferably use disable. And then you have forced respawn. I don't know exactly what that does, but I usually leave it disabled. And don't forget to synchronize it with the F5. You just drag it between the two objects, just like that. Then we have the markers, so that we get to respawn and have an initial starting point. In this case it's a marker, and the marker name have to be respawn_west, as you can see. And then in the text, that's what's going to be shown on the map as you play, so that could be anything. In this case I'm going to put in HQ. And then we have the icons, and you can pick whatever you want, and basically that's what's going to show as well. And then of course the color for the icon. Alright, next I'm going to show you the module that gives the player support. No, that's going to be the object modifier. Yeah, that's what that does, is basically giving the group that it's synchronized. In this case, as you can see, you can pick different synchronize options. I choose synchronize group of synchronized object. And that means that you only need to and you can see the options are pretty much the same as with the waypoints that you put out in normal cases. So what I do is, since I have groups of synchronized object, all I need to do is to synchronize with the F5 a line between the group leader, and that applies to the rest of the team. Then I have a support requester, and that is a module also found there, as you can see, and that allows you to be able to call in support. As you can see, -1 equals infinite amount, and of course you can put whatever number you want if you want to limit it. And then again, make sure that it's not grouped, and make sure that it's synchronized with F5. So we're going to take a look at some of the air supports here. It's way out in the ocean. So we have the bombing run, also found amongst the modules under supports. And then of course you can put in whatever vehicle class you prefer to use. I leave it blank. Same with the supply drop. You can put in whatever vehicle class you want as well. Also to mention that if you put those modules too close to each other, they will automatically be grouped, and so you need to ungroup them, otherwise they won't work. And then we have the final one, or almost the final one. This is the helicopter attack, also found there. Same there. And then somewhere here we have close artillery support. And the reason why I am pretty careful where I place them is because when you call for the support, they're going to appear and they're going to basically spawn where you put the module. So you want to make sure that if it's artillery, you want to make sure that it's over land. Okay, so that's the support request. Then we have the units themselves. Always make sure that you name them. It could be anything, but just make sure you name them so you have something to refer to as a reference point. In this case, it's because these guys aren't playable. They are just AIs, but they will just be there if someone chooses to play player number 1, player 1. And then for each init, I have their assignment. In game, you press the number 9 key in order to give them a team color. In this case, I've done that already, so if everything was okay, you shouldn't have to do that the first thing you do. And so in game, it's easier to pick the group of color, team color. So basically, if you want to mark all the team red, you just press Shift and F1 and so on. All right. The enemies, basically standard procedure. I'll put them on guard, and I'm going to change the placement radius so that it gives a little bit of a variation. And normally what happens when you put them on guard is that they investigate anything that they hear or see in their close proximity, and then they go back to their initial position once they're completed. So let's just change all the proximities to 25 to 50 meters. Same here, as you could see, I put a probability on the present down to 50%, so they're not going to be there all the time. And if you want to access the unit underneath a waypoint that I place on top of them, just hold down the Shift key, and that allows you to switch between the two. Probability at 50%. Just hold your Shift key and you get to access. He's pointing in the right direction. And then I have a group that guards the town, some reinforcement. And yeah, in town especially, you want to make sure that you don't have them in formation, which is a default setting for a group. So just put them in none, and they won't be spawning on top of a building or anything like that. And that's just to prevent them from being killed instantly. Alright, and then finally we have a special group here, and it is a guard patrol as well, but they have a car as well. So what I do for the car, 50%, and I name the car Car 1, and probability 50%, and yeah, now we have the name. And that's because I don't want this group to respawn or spawn unless the car is there. So that 50% decides whether the car is going to be there and the rest of the group that it belongs to. So that's basically how you do that. It gives a little bit more of a variation. Then as for the markers, and as you can see, I have a red border, and that is a marker that you can pick in, amongst the icons or I think it's a rectangle, and that make it easier to know what boundaries you need to take care of. But yeah, basically there you had the module creating a task. In my case, I don't want to synchronize this, which you would otherwise have to do. So in this case, it's going to be blue for task ID TSK1. Title can be anything you want, and the description anything you want. Then the destination is where there's going to be a little marker telling you where the objective is. And then you could usually put it on a sign, but I just put it on created, and that makes it available for anyone to pick the task whenever they want. Okay, so that's the module creating task. You need to synchronize it. And so this is a trigger that's gonna trigger the conditions that it needs to meet. But we have one condition left to put out, because in this mission we're gonna have to hold this sector for at least 5 minutes, and so that's why I'm having one trigger that's gonna trigger once the initial enemies in the area are gone, and then I'm gonna unsynchronize that because I don't want it to be finished unless you have controlled the sector for at least 5 minutes. So that's why I'm copying in that Control C and Control V for pasting it, and I'm gonna change it. As you can see, I've put a script line there, making sure that it's precisely in the right position once it's initialized. And then you can see the name of the marker, and that's the marker that it refers to once it's the mission is going. So basically all the triggers and markers, they end up precisely over the same spot. Okay, so on to the trigger that's gonna actually give us a success for that first sector. And the hint. In this case, you have gained control over sector A1. As simple as that. And then I put a count or a timer. Countdown is basically counting down, and timeout is basically counting up. So in this case, counting up, it doesn't really matter, but I use that for cases like this. You want to put it once, otherwise it's going to be reset every time enemies are going to cross later on. Make sure it's set for non-present and up for. So once you're done with that, make sure that you synchronize it with a module that's gonna finish the task. So first create a task module, and then the finish task module, and then you create a trigger that's gonna meet the condition in order to finish the task. So here you see it's a task state, and it's under intro, and the state can be anything, as you can see: assigned, succeeded, failed, or cancelled. Let's save it. You can never save too many times. Okay, so this is going to be the next intro, and that's going to be the diary, and that's basically the briefing that you find under in the map section while in game. So this is the situation, and you can pick mission, execution, and so on, and you can put in whatever you want. Title is going to be the title, obviously, and the description is the description. So it's pretty plain simple. In this case I put all playable units because there's just going to be a blue port side anyway. Again, make sure they're not too close. You don't want them to be grouped. They should just be standalone and all playable units. That way you don't have to synchronize them with any particular units. I'm just checking that it says the 5 minutes each to confirm. And saving again. Alright, so that's basically it. And yeah, as you can see, I'm using the traditional UI because I'm more used to it, and yeah, that's about it. Alright, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so that you get the latest updates on the following tutorial. See you on the next one.